without the night out. You're tuned into Wrestle Talk. 657-383-1521. We'll be discussing WWE, NXT, Lucha Underground, ROH, fantasy wrestling, and we have some of the best damn interviews for professional and independent wrestling that you've ever heard.
And I'm Joe Lamb. Ladies and gentlemen, buckle your seatbelts, keep your arms.
What up, family? Let's go, baby! It's Royal Rumble week.
5,
Shout out to Pika.
4, 3, 2, 1. Enjoy the ride.
What is up, Wrestle Talk fans and friends and family? What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? Oh my goodness, it is Wednesday night. It is 8 o'clock, and that means one thing and one thing only. If you are listening to the sound of my voice, you have made the right choice. You have tuned into the Wrestle Talk podcast, and we promise you we will not let you down. Episode 231. 231 episodes, ladies and gentlemen. That is absolutely amazing. Tonight, you know what we got for you. We got the high spot segment, the shoot and shout segment, the Wrestle Talk podcast game show challenge, the fantasy wrestling segment, the Snippets of Truth. If that's not enough for you, we got Kenny Alfonso coming on to the show, as well as Mr. Excellent Chris Adams. Oh my goodness. What a show we have for you tonight. So ladies and gentlemen, what I want you to do right now is grab whatever beverage that you have, whether it's beer, water, soda, Kool-Aid, whatever it is. I want you to pop that some gun open, and I want you to take a toast to the Wrestle Talk podcast with Joe and Renee.
So refreshing. What up, Jonesy? Tell you guys what, it's been a week since we've been here. A whole week, and so much has already happened. I cannot even put into words how exciting it is. How absolutely exciting it is to be back with you guys here for episode 231. I want to start off by thanking all the wonderful people already tuning in on the Facebook Live. Please be sure to tap the screen. We love the hearts. We love the thumbs up. Really keeps us encouraged through the whole 2-hour show. But even more so, we would love for you guys to share this broadcast. Whether you're listening through Blog Talk Radio, WrestleTalkPodcast.com, or you are here on the Facebook Live, we want you to share if it's not too much trouble. But the number one way to show your appreciation for the Wrestle Talk podcast, ladies and gentlemen, that's dialing the number, okay? And that number is 657-383-1521, because to kick off the show, we're going to do what we always do. We're going to get into the high spot segment, and that'll happen in just a few moments. But, man, we do have a jam-packed show. I have it on good authority, Jonesy, that we're going to hear from a representative of MEW. That's right. Midwest Elite Wrestling will be joining us in just a matter of moments to talk to us about their event this upcoming Friday, which yours truly will be there for. I wanted to talk to you guys briefly about how awesome KCXW was this weekend. I got to call the action at their new venue, the Ararat Shrine Arena. Great, great place. I think a long-term home for KCXW, one that they have been in dire need of. And it is a fantastic and wonderful place, and I'm grateful to have been there. But Jonesy, you know what, bro? The biggest topic of the night, and we'll get to that during the high spot segment, and is the Royal Rumble. What are your guys' predictions? What do you like so far in the build-up? What are you not liking? Do you have anything that you feel like they could be doing better? We want to hear from you guys again at that number, which is 657-383-1521. That's what we want to do. We want to interact with you, the members of the Wrestle Talk family. That's how we're going to handle business here tonight. We may have a few surprise callers in store for you. I'm going to be working on that throughout the remainder of the show, so you never know who might pop into tonight's episode of the Wrestle Talk podcast. Not to mention, you got XWE on Saturday, MEW on Friday, dude, Royal Rumble on Sunday. I mean, it's just wrestling top to bottom. The Midwest is on fire. The East Coast is on fire. I got that invite from you, Joe, to ATCW. I want to talk to you about that. But listen, before we do any of it, we've got to do what we always do about this time, Jonesy, and that is ask everybody to respectfully remove their caps, put their hands over their hearts as we pay homage to the greatest country on God's green earth, and that's America, damn it.
Oh, say, can you see as a rocket right there?
Every time.
For the land of the free.
Brings a tear to my eye every single time. And you know what else brings a tear to my eye? When intern Timmy keeps messing with the phone line and cuts off Jonesy so that I have to continue to call back in because intern Timmy doesn't know how to do the boards yet. And it's like, you've been doing this for 231 episodes. How can you not know how to do the board?
Well, I mean, you know that old saying, Jonesy, you get what you pay for.
Right?
Yeah, I think that's the situation that we find ourselves in right now. We're getting what we pay for because dang it. Well, that's what I'm saying, bro. The dude's been interning for 3 years now. I mean, maybe if we paid the guy, he'd be doing a little bit of a better job. I don't know, maybe. All right, guys, let's get into it. High spots time, baby. Go ahead and dial that number, 657-383-1521. And as you do that, special thanks to all of our wonderful sponsors, including KCK Dental Professionals, providing the best family denture service in Kansas City, Kansas. Visit the Wrestle Talk podcast sponsorship page for more information on them. Intern Timmy, hit the music, baby. It's time for the high spot segment. Woo!
Earthlings, we have now taken over your radio.
Hit 'em high, hit 'em high, hit 'em high. And you hit 'em low, hit 'em low, let 'em know.
Hit the hole. The way got no game. I'm breaking it out the frame, coming through like a train. Looking to take over the whole world. This my goal with my unstoppable spoon, taking over control. You can't get none of that. We're from the next one. Take up, first shake a sweet.
Yeah, baby.
Absolutely, ladies and gentlemen. We got so much stuff we could talk about. I mean, we could talk about the Royal Rumble. We could talk about AEW. You know, we could talk about so much stuff, but I think that if there's anything we need to talk about, it's last Friday was the first episode of Women of Wrestling. I was able to watch that episode, and oh my goodness, it was an amazing episode. Amazing.
Well, listen, I want to go ahead and say, I was unable to catch it live, but I did go back, and all I got to say is this. Bro, Jungle Girl. My goodness, bro. The sheer insanity, strength, athleticism of this woman, it just absolutely left me in awe. I mean, obviously, you know, when Tessa Blanchard's in the mix and shows up and raises some hell, that's always a lot of fun. The championship defense by Santana Garrett was extremely impressive. Dude, David McLean came in and told us exactly what to expect. And you know what? WoW definitely did not disappoint. David McLean, just a few days after we had him on the show, he did the Chris Jericho podcast. Basically, it was like the next media appearance he did. And then just today, he did X-Pac's podcast. So it's safe to say that we're in good company when it comes to the kind of guests that we're getting, because David McLean went from the Wrestle Talk podcast straight to Chris Jericho, and then from there he went over there to do X-Pac shows. So as far as I'm concerned, dude, I'm extremely proud.
Right.
But I want to know how you felt, bro, when you were watching it, because I know you're a tremendous fan of women's wrestling.
Dude, it was so awesome just seeing all these different characters and how they had backstories for each and like every character. And we even got to see TNT Kenny G, God rest his soul. He was there. He got involved in the action.
I got a little choked up there, bro.
I'm excited.
Honestly, I got a little choked up because,
man.
as you guys may know,
he was.
He passed away just about 2 months ago, 2 or 3 months ago, and we were the last show he was ever on, if I'm not mistaken. So we had the distinct honor of being the last show or media outlet to interview TNT Kenny G, and then to see him and how much fun he was having out there, and the fact that he was able to get involved. Sorry to cut off, but it was a really emotional moment. And it just added that much more to what was an incredible debut episode of WoW on Access TV.
Exactly. And speaking, I would have to say that one of the most impressive wrestlers that I saw was the Beast. Oh, my goodness. Like, is that...
all right. So real quick.
Like, that woman...
All right, real quick, bro. Just right off the jump. The Beast or Nia Jax? Like, who are you taking?
Oh, Beast or Nia Jackson? I'm taking Beast.
Yeah, me too.
All
me
day,
too.
Every day. The Beast, dude. The Beast would like. That's like a female version of Brock Lesnar, dude. Like legit, the female version of Brock Lesnar. Nia Jackson is, she's big and she's strong, but she ain't got nothing on the Beast.
No, the Beast.
That girl is jacked. I wouldn't even mess with the Beast.
Dude, you know what? I don't blame you whatsoever, bro. And you know what? It just gets me so excited, Joe, because we are getting into kind of what we would call the busy season for wrestling as we, kind of start shifting our gears or vision or sight or whatever word you want to use there to WrestleMania. These other promotions, dude, cannot and will not be ignored, okay? It's insane that it's been so crazy, bro. We haven't really even talked about Wrestle Kingdom. And that was just a couple of weeks ago. Now you've got WoW, you've got the whole AEW thing on the horizon, and the Young Bucks showing up out in California. This weekend's the Royal Rumble, dude. So as far as I'm concerned, bro, it is at a fever pitch right now. And if you guys are not taking the time to explore something outside of WWE, you are doing yourself a great disservice, just an absolutely great disservice, man. I hope you guys will try to open up your minds a little bit. There's a ton of stuff on YouTube, Fight TV, and even on Twitch, there's a bunch of stuff. But for me, mainly, what everybody needs to make an effort and do is go out and support your local independent promotion. That's where it all begins for a lot of these guys and girls. And there's no better place to intake pro wrestling than on the local level. Wouldn't you agree with that, Jonesy?
Well, I would absolutely agree with that 100%. Like, you don't have to like WWE or, AEW, that's not the only wrestling that's around. And we're here to show you that. Like, there are multiple independent shows that you can get into. There's so many other shows that you can watch. And, I get so tired of running into wrestling fans and asking them, what wrestling promotions do you watch? And the only one that they say is WWE. And I'm like, really? It drives me nuts.
Well, it drives me nuts as well. And you know what? We're going to continue our conversation here in just a moment concerning all things pro wrestling during the High Spot segment. But we do have a caller on hold. Intern Timmy, why don't you go ahead and check on who that is? But if I'm not mistaken, it's going to be a representative of Midwest Elite Wrestling. They requested just a few days ago an opportunity to come on just briefly to talk to us about the event that is taking place this Friday, which yours truly will be at. I'm very, very excited about that. Also wanted to mention that earlier this week, or I should say late last week, I was out in Paola and we met as a team, the owners, myself as the commentator, and Paul Michael Davis. So shout out to MCTV Live. They hosted us. We had a great conversation. And since then, we've seen some wonderful promos be put together and filmed over at the MCTV Live studios. They're all over social media right now. Guys, MCTV Live will be in the house this Friday. But listen, don't let me tell it. This gentleman's got way more insight than I do. So without any further ado, welcome back to the show. One half or another member or co-creator, I should say, of the Buffet Club, along with yours truly, Sal Sanchez, ladies and gentlemen.
Hey,
Welcome,
thank you, Renee.
Welcome.
Thank you. I'm real excited to be here, and even more excited about our show this Friday night in Old Waterman, Kansas. New Year's Devastation. It's going to be an amazing time.
Sounds like it. Why don't you go ahead and tell us about it? What do you got going on during that show?
Well, we've got a lot of great matches in line. Of course, the main event is going to be for the MEW Championship. We've got Kyle King going up against Big and Bad Blade. And at our first show, you know, there was a little tension there between Blade and Kyle King as he accompanied the Samoan Predator to the ring. Hijinks took place, and so now Blade has a shot. He's the number one contender at the MEW title, so we've got him coming in for the main event. Another match to look out for is we have a Falls Count Anywhere no holds barred match, and you've seen him in our promos. Kato with Malice Mayhem is going to be facing the Cody Wilson, and I tell you what, that match, it could go anywhere in the arena, may even end up out there on Main Street. We don't know, because I know Kato and the Controversial Mayhem, they're ready to stir things up here in MEW. We've also got the American Way, Aaron Helms and Bubba Sutton going up against the Bruiser Boys. And if you remember from Holiday Hijinks, we had Bubba teamed up with Kenny Zombie Jones. That was a little thing that our commissioner, Ashley Scott, put together, but they were kind of reluctant tag partners. And we kind of saw Bubba going crazy and knocking everyone else with the moonshine jug. So now the Bruiser Boys have been challenged by the American Way. We also have Sarge making his debut against Kenny Zombie Jones. We've got XKD, Xavier K. Damage, against Paradox, and that'll be his debut as well. Another one from the Controversial Mayhem, it's going to be Nick Vendetta going against Johnny Rocco. And then we can't forget the XWE United Liberty Championship match, where we have Kit Reaver going up against Brady. And then a match that we just announced just the other day, we do have a special guest coming in from the St. Louis area. We've got Savannah Stone, and she will be in mixed tag team action. I believe it's going to be her and Brady James, or James Brady, going up against Ashley and her partner. Unfortunately, I can't remember his gimmick name. He was originally Cornelius Weaverstone in KCXW, so they'll be teaming up. So we've got some intergender tag team championship, or tag team action. We've also got, of course, Bones in action with Big Country Max Cocktail as the special enforcer. So it's definitely going to be a night of great wrestling here, and we're excited because this is our first event that's sanctioned by the KWA, the Kansas Wrestling Alliance. So we're very proud of being a part of that fine organization. and putting on our first show under their banner.
Well, that's awesome, Sal, and I appreciate you sharing all that. That's a great question, Jonesy. The question I had for you was, I know in our conversations, we both talked about how important it was to make sure that production value was at the very highest level that we could potentially get it. And I know that that's something that as a fan and also as a part owner of the company for you is a top priority. So the partnership that you guys have developed, not only with yours truly, but also, and more importantly, with PMD, my man Paul Michael Davis over at MCTV Live. Can you talk to us about the importance of those relationships and how you feel that's going to project you and give you an advantage and what could possibly give you the opportunity to be the shining star of the KWA here in 2019?
Yes, we're more than honored to have MCTV Live and Paul Michael Davis behind us doing television, doing production. I'm real excited that we have full access to the studio. So we're going to be having a lot more promos done by MCTV Live. It's really exciting to have that TV exposure because not only do they stream online, they are also on the local cable system there in Miami County and the surrounding areas. So that makes us, I believe, the only promotion in the KWA with live television. And we're going to be, of course, streaming live on MCTV Live with, of course, you doing commentary. I'm sure PMD will step in, and we'll get some of the boys from the locker room to step in and do some guest commentary. But also, what's going to eventually happen is those will be chopped up into weekly episodes with the multiple camera angles. And, you know, we're going to have a weekly TV show along with some exclusive in-studio content. So it's really exciting to be able to do that and to give the wrestlers, the workers, the opportunity to work on TV and get that exposure. You know, who knows? I heard you talking earlier about, you know, the superstars of the WWE coming from the indies, and that's right. This is exactly where they come from, and I would love for anyone on our roster to make it to that level at some point. And I think the production and having PMD and MCTV Live behind us and partnering with us is going to be that step up that they need to get the attention.
No doubt about it. And really, the only thing I can say before I let you go, because we do want to make sure people know where to get their tickets and where the show's taking place. Listen, I'll do whatever it takes to make sure MEW is successful, just like I do for every promotion that I ever do any work for. You just got to promise me, man, please don't make me sit in the table alongside Nigel Rabbit. Again, that is the most obnoxious, undermining slime ball that I think I've ever had an opportunity to be next to. And I grew up in the hood, so I've been around some world-class slime balls. But this Nigel Rabbit character, man, he makes me sick to my stomach.
Oh my gosh, yeah, that guy, he is pretty sleazy, slimy. You know, I've been threatened with his cricket bat I don't know how many times. Thankfully, this time around, though, he is stuck in England with Mama Rabbit. Unfortunately, Mama Rabbit's on her deathbed, and but I understand he's trying to get her to sign the will papers and make him the sole heir to her fortune. So
are you serious right now?
Guy is, yes, I'm serious. We talked to him the other day, and so he flew to England to make sure that he was at the top of the list so he can inherit everything that she has.
Wow. You know, just when you think a guy can't sink any lower, my goodness. Well, listen, Sal, we have about 30 seconds left in the spot here. Why don't you do us a favor and let the people know what they need to know to make sure they're there in the venue this upcoming Friday night?
Yes, tickets will be available at the door. $20 for ringside, $10 for GA, $5 for kids 5 to 12, and then anyone younger than 5 will get in free. Well, be sure to follow us on social media, Midwest Elite Wrestling. We actually have a contest going on there right now. If you comment on the post with your favorite wrestler of all time, at 9 o'clock tonight, we are going to draw 2 names at random, and you'll get a pair of tickets to our show this weekend, New Year's Devastation.
No doubt. And listen, when you pull those winners, Sal, shoot me a message. We may still be on the air. We'll be more than happy to announce it here as well. How about that?
Sounds perfect, man. I will do that.
All right, man. Well, listen, last thing before you go, super quick on the spot. Who's your pick for the men's Royal Rumble matchup at this Sunday's Royal Rumble pay-per-view and in the women's as well? What do you got?
I like Sarah Loden. She's one of my favorites. I loved her on the Indies. I'm going to be cheering for her all the way in the women. And I know who I would love to win the men's. I think he's underrated, and I would love to see him get the push, and that's Big E. But I'm hoping for a couple gimmick entries as well, because you know I'm a mark for the Shockmasters. So I would go crazy if he showed up.
Yeah, no doubt about it. You know who I'm pulling for? I'm pulling for R-Truth, baby. What? You don't think he's got a chance? What are you trying to say? What are you you don't think R-Truth has a chance? Come on, Sal.
Maybe in a wrap-off, in a rap battle.
Oh, dear goodness, please, no. All right, Sal. Well, you have yourself a good night, man. We'll catch you on Friday over at MEW in Osawatomie, Kansas, brother.
All right, man. See you there. Thanks for the opportunity, guys. Appreciate it.
Peace.
Yep.
Well done. Very well done. What do you think?
Sounds like a lot of fun. I wish that I could go to it. But there is one other thing I wanted to say about the Beast from Women of Wrestling. If I had the opportunity to either slap the Beast from Women of Wrestling or slap Cahagas, I would slap Cahagas.
What?
Yeah.
Oh, my.
Yeah.
Okay, so first of all, we don't want to slap anybody. Because we like, you want to make sure you keep all your limbs, Jonesy. I mean, I may seem kind of,
but
I'm just saying either one of them could rip your arm off and beat you with it.
I'm not afraid of Cahagas, man.
Will you stop it? He listens to the show. You do know you know what? We're going to move on to another caller. This man is always supporting the Wrestle Talk podcast. Now, he may be somewhat new as a member of the Wrestle Talk family, but since he started listening a few weeks ago, he's here every single week, and we are super grateful to him. He's also a member of the FWWC, the world's premier fantasy wrestling promotion, but we actually want to bring him on to talk a little Royal Rumble, talk a little independent wrestling, whatever it is that he wants to chat about. We want to bring him on. This man hails from the great state of Arkansas, and he is one that will bring the truth, the light, and anything else that he wants to bring to make sure that he takes out his opponents. Ladies and gentlemen, Brother Bishop joins us on the line here tonight. Brother Bishop. There he is. Wow.
Greetings to you, my Harlan Jones.
¿Qué pasa?
How y'all doing today?
What is going on? What's up?
And, well, Royal Rumble is upon us.
It is.
And the Bishop has his eyes on 2 prizes, so to speak. And as you know, Brother Night Owl, a few weeks ago, I mentioned to you that I'm entering myself into the Warrior's Heart Championship match. I think that belt will look pretty good on Bishop's shoulder. What you think?
Well, you know what? Let me jump right in real quick because I'm concerned. Bishop, and I know you're new here, but do you understand?
Right.
Do you understand that the Warriors Heart Championship is the top belt for the FWWC? This is a huge responsibility, and I would love to know exactly why it is that you're in pursuit of this championship, but we want to save that for the 8 o'clock hour during the FWWC segment. So for now, I'm more interested to know what your thoughts are on the upcoming Royal Rumble. What are your thoughts on independent wrestling as a whole? If you have any thoughts, are there any promotions in your area that you frequent? You know, there's a lot going on in MEW. You heard us talking about Wow Women of Wrestling, man. What makes you, outside of what you do for the fantasy group, what makes you such a big wrestling fan, and what are you most excited about right now?
Well, you know, I've been a fan since the 80s. You know, I grew up watching all the great, you know, Hogan, the Pipers, things. And, you know, it's one of those things where, you know, it's the battle of good versus evil. And, you know, it's like a soap opera on steroids, you know. And I just love the entertainment aspect of it and the athletics behind it as well. And actually, I started watching independent wrestling maybe a few years ago. You know, I watched it when TNA was really big, you know, when they had Abyss and AJ Styles and all the other great. And so I've been a fan ever since the Ring of Honor and as well as Impact.
Well, and I'm curious to know, Bishop, these days, though, what are you most locked into? Are you a big-time NXT guy? Are you a WWE guy? What is it that floats your boat now that you've been a fan for well over 20 years?
Well, I'd say I'm between NXT and WWE because one of the guys I really like, I like Aleister Black a lot. And, you know, I can't wait for him to get the call up.
Whoa. Okay, so I got to ask this question. And, Jonesy, I know you were thinking the same thing. You, sir, and I say this respectfully, are a walking contradiction. You come on here, you know, you say, wow, right? You're the bishop, your brother bishop. But the guy you're most excited about is a guy that walks around with, like, devil symbols all over the place? Come on, you got to. Come on now, explain. I gotta know because that's a little suspect if you ask me. Please explain.
Okay. Well, let me explain. I respect his ability. Now, maybe not so much the character, but what he can do in the ring. Because you know, he can get it done.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he does.
No doubt.
Yeah, he can get it done in the ring. I mean, Black Mass is. I mean, that's a devastating move.
No doubt about it. Well, Brother Bishop, before we let you go, because we are getting ready to bring on the Kenny Alfonso, one half of Alpha, my favorite wrestlers in the whole wide world, and I ain't afraid to admit it, dang it. Why don't you go ahead and tell the people one last time, brother, how much you love pro wrestling and what we can expect from you moving forward, even if it means delving into the FWWC a little bit, man. The stage is yours.
Okay. Well, I just I'm gonna keep grinding and, you know, just look for big things for the Bishop in 2019 because, you know, like I said, Royal Rumble's coming up and I intend on going in there and leaving out with 2 titles. But if not, I just have to pick myself up and keep going. And me and my partner, Madman Joe, the Prophets of Madness, or as I like to call him, the Minister of Madness, we are gonna continue to go through the tag team division. We haven't been getting as much success as we wanted to, but, you know, the year is still young, and, you know, we just have to keep grinding and keep pushing.
No doubt about it. And if there's one person that we can count on to keep grinding and keep pushing is one Brother Bishop, a guy who has risen very quickly in the world of fantasy wrestling. But listen, we'll talk more about that a little bit later. We typically save that for the second hour, but Brother Bishop's so passionate. He loves pro wrestling so much, man. We had to get him on. He's been basically since he tuned into the show for the first time, Joe, he's been here every single week, and I love that sort of support, man. He is loyal as loyal comes, man. So real quick, your thoughts on Brother Bishop, man, and you know, his support of the Wrestle Talk podcast. It's honestly like it's humbling. You know what I mean?
Oh, absolutely. It is definitely humbling. It is awesome, the support that he's given us, and it is absolutely amazing. And you know, we respect that. You know, that he calls in every single week, and we look forward to hearing from him. So yes, that is absolutely amazing.
Yeah, heck yeah, it is. And you know what else is amazing, guys? We have reached that part of the show where it is time to welcome in our first featured guest of the evening. Now, you heard me say it a little bit earlier. Yes, I am a legitimate fan of this gentleman, only because I've seen him since he started. He got his start off over at the NWL Training Center when they were still in existence. He's been kind of paying his dues ever since, and he's had the opportunity to work with some of the top talents in the Midwest, including the likes of Derek Stone, Mike Seidel, the Rebel Jeremy Wyatt, Niles Plunk, and now he is plying his trade really all over the country, but specifically in the Midwest, including Glory Pro, Magnum Pro, Proving Ground Pro, and WLW, all promotions I've been to, believe it or not. He's killing it as a singles competitor, but you probably know him a little bit better as one half of one of the hottest tag teams in the Midwest, Alpha Omega. Ladies and gentlemen, join us in welcoming in for the very first time, the Kenny Alfonso.
What's up, Mr. Alfonso? How you doing, sir?
Good evening, good afternoon. How's everybody doing today?
Woo!
We're doing good. Thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to come on. We had some entrance music for you, but I'm being told by intern Timmy that for some reason the audio did not download tonight for some reason. Intern Timmy's about to get fired.
No, wait, I got it. Wait.
So I was looking forward to it.
Wait. I got it, though. I found the music. I got it. So here it goes. You guys ready?
I'm ready.
I'll take that as a yes. Here we go. 3, 2, 1.
I'm too sexy for my love.
Wow.
Just let it play. Roll with it. Hey. Okay. Okay, no, legit. No, wait. That was an accident. No. So wait, so we did have the TI Jam. We did have the TI Jam loading, but legitimately it is just sitting there, just not doing anything. So we did have the proper intro music uploading. It just did not upload on time. I just figured the song fit, right? I mean, why not?
I guess.
I guess.
Oh
My goodness.
That play too much.
Well, you know what? We like to have fun here, Kenny, and you know, I know you're a guy who takes everything you do real serious, but you're also a fun-loving dude. And I've had the distinct pleasure of acting in the locker room with you. We did a couple of shows together early in the year, and man, since then, I don't know what it is, man. It's just like you've caught wind. Your wings are fully spread out, and you're just starting to do some things that I think maybe you've been thinking about for a long time when you first got into the business. So maybe take us down the road a little bit about where you were maybe a year to a year and a half ago to where you are right now, if you don't mind.
Right. Of course. So whenever I first started off, I mean, you said it in the intro yourself. I did start off in North Kansas City with the NWL TPC when it was up at the time. And honestly, I was somewhat kayfabing it to my parents. I didn't tell them that I was actually training at the time, and it wasn't until recently that I told them that I've been going out of town wrestling just about every weekend. But I started my training with guys like Derek Stone, Mike Seidel, Niles Plunk, Jeremy Wyatt, Dak Draper, and Jake Durden, and plenty of guys. I started off at NWL and decided to branch off and get more experience, because with the talent that they had there at the time, it was just literally some of the best talent that we have in the area. And I somewhat felt, like I know I was inexperienced at the time, but I wanted to branch out and go to different places, earn my stripes, etc. with my tag team partner, Camaro Jackson. Since then, we've gone to places in Oklahoma, South Dakota, St. Louis, Illinois, Texas, Colorado, Missouri, Mississippi. There's plenty of places I'm forgetting right now, but those are just some of the places that we've been to so far in the past year and a half, which is a lot more than most people have done in who have been wrestling longer than us.
Well, you know what? You guys definitely have already made quite the stamp or put the stamp on Midwest wrestling at such an early point in your career. I'm curious, man. What do you attribute that to? I can't imagine it's one thing, right? So it's definitely the athleticism. You guys are pretty active on social media. You guys have made the right connections. But I mean, is there one thing that you can say, hey, you know what? This was a big turning point in our career, and that's part of the reason that we've been able to kind of pick up momentum so quickly, because there's people that toil in pro wrestling for years before they actually hit that point, man. So maybe could you put your finger on it if you tried?
I mean, not necessarily. It's all about knowing the right people, and for some people, you might be grinding for X amount of years, and some people it'll come to you just like that. But it's all about being at the right place at the right time. There's not much more I can dwell on that, I guess, but it's just knowing the right people and having the right connections and specific drive and determination. If you really want to go somewhere, if you want to branch out and wrestle every weekend out of town, then that's up to you.
Well, there's no doubt.
Specific.
Well, I was going to say there's no doubt in my mind that you guys have put the work in. Obviously, you have some of the names that you've worked with on your resume. That definitely helps. And also your ability to work both as a single and a tag team wrestler, and you've had success in both departments. Can you tell us maybe a little bit about those differences when you work alone versus when you work as a tag team? Does your preparation change at all? Does your mindset change at all? Can you maybe give us a little bit of insight into that?
Yeah, for most people, the preparation is a little different. I try my best to stay in shape 24/7, whether I know I'm going to have a singles competition where you're in the ring much longer opposed to a tag match. You just have, it's one of those things where you have to stay on edge 24/7, and there's obviously no off season, but it is two different worlds, I guess. It does feel really different without Camaro Jackson at my side sometimes, but I feel like the best professional wrestlers are the type of wrestlers who can multitask and be the best at literally each and every single category, whether it's tag, trio, singles competition, gimmick matches, any type of match. You want to try your best to excel in each and every single one of those categories. So that's why I'm trying my best to be great at tag team wrestling and great at singles wrestling, which is why I've been doing so much singles wrestling lately.
Right. And the opportunities continue to present themselves for a reason. And you know what? As far as like staying in shape year round, I can say this, and Joe, you know I'm 100% on this, man. I can totally relate. I like to stay in shape all the time. Unfortunately, it's not the same shape as Kenny Alfonso. It's a much more rounder and robust shape. Oh, come on. What are you guys trying to say? You know, it takes a lot of effort to go here from the refrigerator and back, okay? You guys back off me over there in the production truck, man. I'm sick and tired of the hate over here. Well, I'll tell you what, I do have some more questions. And you know, Kenny, we like to have a good time as always. But I do have a partner in crime. His name is Joe Lance, aka Jonesy, and he's actually in West Virginia. We cover a lot of ground here on the show. We're in the Midwest. We're on the East Coast. So, Joe, why don't you jump in here as an experienced referee in the business for a long time, man? When you see a guy like this who's already making such an impact in his territory, what questions might you have or comments might you be able to share with him, seeing as you've had a chance to referee some of the top talent in the world?
Well, you know, it's an honor to be able to talk to Kenny tonight. And one of the questions that I wanted to talk to you about, I was going through my research. I came across a statement from Ringside Championship Wrestling. And apparently, after you beat Rex and Iceman in a 3-wrestler triple threat event, you actually shook the hand, you shook Soldier's hand. What is, can you tell us about what exactly happened there?
So, not everybody knows this, but not only my wrestler, I am a member of the Kansas Army National Guard. So I also serve the country as well on the side. Yeah, 1 weekend out of the month and a few weeks out of the year. That event took place at Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri, on a military base, Army base specifically, and our soldiers at the time, well, in that arena, they were going through advanced individual training, AIT, which is the phase after basic training, aka boot camp, where they're really limited to entertainment and access outside of their training, so they don't get a whole lot of entertainment and whatnot. So I was in their shoes a couple of years ago when I was going through that phase, and that made it much more special to me, knowing what they were going through and how they felt. So I tried my best to put on a great show for them and really bond with them after and before the matches, just talking to each and every soldier that came up to me. And it was a little deja vu, but it was an awesome feeling. That's something I can never take back.
Absolutely, you know, and it's great that you have that kind of respect. You know, I respect you even more for that. My second question is very soon coming up on January the 26th. It looks like you are going to be you and your partner, your Alpha Omega, are going to be going to New Wave Pro Wrestling to wrestle a tag team by the name of IFHY. What can you tell us about that tag team and how are you preparing for that tag team?
Honestly, I haven't heard too much about them. I've seen a little bit of the tape so far. I like to study my opponents a little bit beforehand before, we branch out and travel to the show or whatnot. But, from what I've seen so far, they seem pretty legit. I don't know a whole lot about them. I should be studying a little bit more on our opponents, but that'll be our first time heading out to New Wave in Spencer, Indiana, I believe. Yeah, but we are really looking forward to that show because that'll be my first time out in Indiana as well. But as far as our opponents, I'm not too worried. I mean, there's plenty of times where we've debuted at a new place and steal the show and picked up the W at the same time, so I'm not tripping too much about it. But just like we're going to bring it, I know for a fact that they're going to bring it too. But we're not going to take this lightly, is what I'm saying.
Very nice.
Absolutely, and you definitely shouldn't take any match lightly. And the last question, before I throw it back to Renee, because I know that he has all kinds of questions, is Alpha Omega actually had their debut match for World League Wrestling on December the 1st of 2018, and you guys, you all won. How did it feel to wrestle for World League Wrestling and your first match you guys ran?
Man, it was freaking awesome. Like, our opponents were Jack Gamble and John Webb, and my first ever live indie show that I've ever attended was Metro Pro Wrestling. I think it was 2016, and on the card, John Webb was there. So it was ironic that I was facing a guy who I've known for a long time, and I've been waiting to get into the ring with for a while. But for that show, that whole crowd and that whole environment in the locker room was something different. It was really special, and to get a please come back chant with not something that you get all the time, it's definitely something we shouldn't take for granted. It's hard to put into words exactly how I feel about that place. Obviously positive vibes, but we cannot wait to come back.
Oh yeah.
February 2nd is
And
the day I believe is coming back.
Nice.
yeah, and the best part about it is you also got to meet the Holy Race. So I mean that right there was everything. I mean I would love to meet Holy Race. So that's pretty cool that you all actually got to. What kind of interactions have you had with Holy Race?
Not a whole lot. He was pretty busy at the time we were at the show, and it was more of a brief interaction. We shook his hand and had a quick conversation with him, but nothing too much. We didn't want to bother him. He seemed a little busy at the time, but from what it seemed like, he was a really nice person. He had a really positive vibe coming off with him, so I really appreciate that. And thank him for giving us the opportunity to be there.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. All right, well, Night Owl, I'm sure that you have some more questions, so why don't you go ahead and jump in here and ask away, sir.
Yeah, no doubt. Let me piggyback off what you said, Joe. Number one, shout out to Leland Racing, the boys out there. We're big fans. Love doing business with them. They're always a world-class organization. They always do whatever they can to facilitate us here on the Wrestle Talk podcast. And number two, Joe, Harley Race is in a wheelchair and he'll still whoop your ass. So be careful what you say about Harley Race because he ain't playing no games. Well, Will, let me jump back into it because no doubt that's what I'm saying. Well, let me jump back into it because I am very curious. You know, I have an affinity for you and your tag team partner, man. Talk to us about Alpha Omega. I know that you take a lot of pride in working as a unit, especially with your military background. And you and Camaro Jackson seem to bring something out of each other that I haven't seen from a lot of tag teams. And I've been watching a lot of wrestling over the last couple of years. So what is that chemistry like? What level do you guys connect on? And how do you guys transition that friendship, that partnership, that camaraderie to what you do inside the square circle?
Man, it's something that you can't force or try to teach to a lot of tag teams. Some tag teams are just naturally born with that chemistry together. Before I started training, I was on Instagram, and at the time, NWL had like the little training and performance center page.
Yeah.
And they would have students on there explaining what they were doing for training and how the day went and stuff like that. And I saw Nelson on there. And I was like, well, this is a pretty freaking big guy. And
big dude, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, he's freaking huge. It sucks that I have to stand right next to him all the time and make him look small. But,
look, bro, he's the one that you get on base and you steal the bases and he moves you over. I mean, it's perfect, right?
No, but yeah, like finally met him once I started training, and Derek Stone put us together because I guess seeing they were needing tag teams at the time, heel tag teams at the time specifically. So it's also one of those things where you have to adjust quickly because before I started training, I envisioned myself as a single babyface or AKA good guy, and I got there and was thrown into a heel tag team. So it was a straight of 180 for me, but I tried my best to adjust to it. And, you know, Camaro Jackson was actually a part of a legit fraternity, I believe when they were going to UMKC in Kansas City, Missouri. I have no fraternity background, so it was really difficult for me trying to adjust to that kind of persona. I guess it was a lot more natural for him because we started off as a black fraternity, and we kind of not branched away from it, but we still keep the black excellence in our lingo or whatever. But right. It's not necessarily a fraternity anymore. There's not a lot of tag teams like us who bring out the best in each other. And I try to get him to show off his strength, and he tries to get me to show off my speed and high flying. It's a perfect matchup. for me in my head.
Well, there's no doubt in my mind, and you know what?
I ask for a better tag team partner.
Well, you know what? I absolutely agree. I don't think you could ask for a better tag team partner. And we're a little spoiled here, Kenny. I mean, we've had the opportunity to really honestly interview some of the best tag teams in the world, from Ricky Morton, you know, to the Hooligans, to the Nasty Boys that were on with us just last week. I mean, the Nasty Gym Boys, my mistake. It's really, really awesome to be able to talk to tag teams. And you can always tell when there's that special chemistry, that special connection. And what's funny is Camaro Jackson, I actually knew him as a character within our fantasy wrestling group way before he started wrestling. And that was because of our boy Theory Foster, who's a poet here in Kansas City. You might know him. His name's Sam Foster, one of the coolest, smartest guys I've ever met. Shout out to you, Sam. You know I love you to death, brother. But anywho, from your very, very humble beginnings at the TPC to just last year, your boy was sitting on the second row, right next to the ramp, down in Sprint Center, and I'm sitting there, you know, I'm having a couple cervezas, because you know how us Mexicans like to get down, Kenny. And I look up, and who's standing in the ring with Matt Fitchett? None other than the Kenny freaking Alfonso. Bro, you got to talk to us what it was like to be at a SmackDown Live in Kansas City facing off against the Bludgeon Brothers, bro. That must have been a surreal experience.
Holy smokes. Okay.
That's a loaded question.
It's hard to find a starting point on this one. Yeah, ironically, there was like training that going on that night, and I remember messaging the trainers and stuff like that saying that I couldn't make it, and I never specified why I couldn't. I also had friends that were going to be in the crowd that night. I told them I couldn't make it, and I was never specific. I'm a terrible liar, by the way, so I'm terrible with trying to make up stuff on the fly like that. But yeah, I can't specify exactly too much how I got the deal, but
okay.
I was also backstage for Monday Night Raw in St. Louis, but they didn't have anything for us TV-wise. Thankfully, in my hometown of Kansas City, the Sprint Center, Road Dogg approaches me and Matt Fidget backstage and tells us that we're taking on the Bludgeon Brothers. And it was it was funny because I remember while we were ringside before the show and whatnot, and Fitz Finley approaches me and Fidget while we're talking over the match and stuff with the Bludgeon Brothers, and he points at us and he was like, "All right, you guys are going over. What's your finish?" And I was like, "Oh man, stop playing with us."
What?
But it
stop lying.
Man, stop playing with us. But no, just standing in that ring, and it sounds cliche, but like being in the center of all of that, it's a completely different world. Because you watch it on TV every single week, you get used to that kind of stuff, and it's also different, like sitting in the crowd and being there in person. But it's a complete 180, just being in the middle of the ring with all the cameras and all the lights and that many fans. And I was not even a year in the business, and I already got the spot on SmackDown. So that's a lot to take in for an experienced little greenboy like me at the time. So it was amazing, though. There was a lot of cool people that I met backstage. It was overwhelming seeing like that kind of worldwide production going on. It's definitely did not look easy trying to run that kind of show, and people take that for granted.
Listen, best live entertainment ever, in my opinion, and I'm sure, Kenny, because of how much you love pro wrestling, I'm sure you would agree. There are very few, if not really none, other companies or promotions or whatever, or businesses where you have to stand in front of 20, 25, 30,000 people and perform well. And there's no retakes, there's no cut. You get one chance, and that's it, man. And I always find it so funny, you know, and I don't want to go down this road, but I always find it funny when people make fun of pro wrestling as if it doesn't require any talent. I'm like, what other sport or form of entertainment expects you to be absolutely 100% physically fit, extremely capable on a live microphone, extremely capable to adjust on the fly, and if something goes wrong, they can't even come out and help you. You still have to finish the match. You could break your neck, and you either have to give the pin or take the pin. There's no business in the world that demands you to do something like that. That's why we're such huge proponents of pro wrestling here on the Wrestle Talk podcast, because there's nothing like it. There's nothing that demands you to be that flexible and that talented in that many different departments. You could be a great actor, but you might not be really well physically. You know, you may be really well at playing a specific character, but maybe there's certain characters that don't fit you. In the world of pro wrestling, what the booker wants, the booker gets, and you have to figure it out on the fly. You may have an hour to figure out how to automatically become a bad guy when you walked in there thinking you were going to be a good guy. There's nothing else like it. I mean, it's incredible. Wouldn't you agree?
No. Oh, for sure, for sure. That's something that's really overlooked whenever it comes to. It's somewhat like frustrating trying to explain wrestling to non-wrestling fans, because I get asked that question every single time I go off the National Guard drill and people find out that I wrestle, and there's a new person that comes up to me all the time, and I have to explain it to them, and it's impossible. You just have to know. You just have to watch for yourself.
I found, Kenny, that the only way to really get across to those people is to challenge them to go out to a show. Say, you know what, bro? Say what you want, giggle, smirk, whatever you want to do, but I'm not going to even respect your opinion until you actually come out and watch a show. Once you come out and watch a show and you've got something to say, I'll be more than willing to listen to you. Well, listen, that said, I do have a question coming from the Facebook Live feed. Are you okay with taking a question from one of the fans?
Oh, for sure. Absolutely.
Cool. We'll do that, and then we'll get into tonight's edition of the Shoot and Shout segment, which I'm sure you'll have a lot of fun with. So the question is from our boy Drew out of Topeka. He says, I've had the privilege of hitting the road with guys like Camaro Jackson, Blaine Meeks, and Laney Luck. Do you have any funny stories involving them, or Derek Stone, or anybody else that you can share with us?
Oh, man. Which Drew are we speaking with at the moment?
DJ Pinky. Ref Pinky.
Pinky.
Ref Pinky.
Okay.
You're like, oh, I thought it was somebody important. Just kidding, Drew. We love you.
Yeah, I'm just playing, bro. Jesus. I don't have anything like wild or specific like whenever it comes to story-wise, like on the road with them. So I never got the opportunity to travel with Meeks or Laney. I did Laney once, but just from the stuff that I hear about some of these guys, it's really not the most friendly, the family-friendly stuff that I probably shouldn't be talking about, and stuff that they wouldn't want me to expose them about, and specifically my trainer, Derek, and, Blaine Reed. But I'm just going to leave it at that. I don't want to catch any heat from anybody.
Well, you know what?
That's a good question, though.
I don't blame you for wanting to protect your boys. I'm just worrying. Have you ever seen Dynamite Derek Stone pull one of those cheeseburgers out of his beard? That's what I'm wondering, because we all know there's at least a few back behind that gray and white beard. Shout out to Derek Stone. And by the way, put together a wonderful show this past Saturday at the Ararat Shrine Temple for KCX. So big shout out to Derek Stone. We love you, man. We know you're doing a great job over there at the Extreme Wrestling Center. Well, I had one last question, brother, and then we'll go ahead and jump right into tonight's Shoot and Shout segment, which we hope you'll be willing to join us in, and that is pro here in Kansas City. Obviously, we know what happened with the NWL. We've covered that ad nauseum. Metro Pro kind of made just a quick kind of comeback post NWL, but now the hot topic outside of KCXW in Kansas City is Journey Pro, and you had an opportunity to be at the debut show. I'm wondering, are you going to continue to work from them as far as you know? And if so, what can you tell us, man? How excited are you? Because as far as I'm concerned, this is a huge deal. Journey Pro's already doing some big things, and I really, really hope that they can keep the momentum going. What are your thoughts?
Exactly. Yeah, for sure. I plan on coming back at the next show, which I believe is, let me see, February 20. I'm not good at this kind of stuff. Give me a second. I almost got it.
I told you to upgrade.
Yeah, February.
I told you to upgrade from dial-up, Kenny. I've been telling you for years. You got to upgrade to high-speed internet.
That is slow. February 21st is today. Sorry, I'm terrible with this kind of stuff.
That's all good, man.
But honestly, it was a great show. It was cool seeing guys not only from NWL, but guys from guys from Colorado, but guys from St. Louis, and it was a very diverse roster. And it was just seeing that combination of guys from Iowa and Ricky Starks, who's from Texas, and plenty of guys all over the U.S. But it was cool seeing that kind of roster come together at one place and put on an amazing show like that. And it did have some NWL vibes to it, but there was a lot of new faces that we got to see that night. But I strongly recommend anybody who's in the area, who's in the KC area or anywhere near the Midwest, if you can make it out to the show, then I strongly suggest that you do.
Well, you know what? I guess I'd be remiss if I didn't ask this question. Bro, what was your reaction during the tag match between the Howlets and the besties in the world when Nick Chin went over the damn top rope, bro? I lost my mind. I spilt my beer. The guy next to me was all sorts of pissed off because I think I might have knocked over his beer. Dude, I never, ever, Joe, this ref got so pissed off because the besties wouldn't get out of his face and the Howlets wouldn't get out of his face that all four men were on the outside, and this dude basically did a moonsault over the top rope. He's about your height, about your body build, dude, and he laid everybody out. It was freaking crazy. Kenny, I got to know what you thought about that, bro.
The roof came off the freaking place that night. I would say that or whenever Draper came out, got the biggest reactions of that night. Low-key, I was a little bit jealous because I tried the same thing a long time ago in Colorado, and my foot, or it was like a little bit of my shin caught the rope, and my opponent like barely caught me, and I went tailbone / ass first into the ground.
Ouch!
In my head, I thought it was looking cool, but just to see a guy like Nick Chin just pull it off with that much ease, I was excited, but I was pretty jealous at the same time. You son of a bitch.
He made it look easy, though, with such bull crap, man. I was like, what the hell, dude?
Way too easy. And I don't think people understand how low-key athletic Nick Chin is. This guy can make a nip-up look like a breeze. He can freaking do a tope con hello like nothing. That is something I will never, ever forget. Because I've seen refs get, interactive in matches, but nothing like that before.
Yeah, that was
freaking crazy.
That was really, really dope. Well, you know what, Kenny? So was this interview, dude. I know next time you're going to make an effort to be here live in studio, bro. I would love to be able to have this conversation with you live and in person, but we will do that next go around. This time, we are almost out of time, but we do want to invite you to join us for one of our staple segments here on the Wrestle Talk podcast, episode 231. And it's the shoot and shout segment where we give everybody 30 to 45 seconds to kind of vent on anything and everything that might be bothering them. It doesn't necessarily have to be wrestling related, but you got to be passionate about it. We'll go ahead and let Jonesy go first. I'll go second, and then you can close us out. Whatever it is, no matter how petty, just make sure you bring the heat, man. Are you down to join us?
Man, I guess so. I ain't got no choice.
He ain't got no choice. Alpha Omega don't back down from a challenge, baby. Intern Timmy, hit the music. Let's get into tonight's edition of the Shoot and Shout segment.
Woo. Oh my goodness. Time for the shooting show. Who's going first, Renee?
Hey, Jonesy, you go first. And you know what? Kenny, if you bring the heat, we got a surprise for you. So be ready. Jonesy, take it away.
Oh, man.
Oh my goodness. All right, what makes me mad, what grinds my gears is the fact that I want to download music to Blog Talk Radio for my guests, and Blog Talk Radio is taking forever to download the songs. I have people that are expecting to hear these songs, and I'm letting them down, and they're mad at me, and I'm about ready to cry. I'm just done. I'm done.
Dude, you know what? That is a great shoot and shout tonight, Jonesy. And I will say this, man. What drives me crazy, what has really, really been getting on my nerves right now, is all this nonsense, this hoopla, this overexcitement, this overselling about the weather here in the Midwest. My goodness, I can't get a pack of Wonder Bread. I can't go get a Yoo-Hoo without it being out at the store. And then by the time it's all said and done, nothing happens. My goodness, everybody goes into a panic. Everybody's on freaking red alert. And I go inside and I can throw the football around the backyard with my son. Jeez Louise, these meteorologists, bro. You want to talk about fake news? You can call a lot of things fake news, but these damn meteorologists in the Midwest, they make me sick to my stomach. The roads are perfect. People can go outside and do their thing, and they got me feeling like I'm going to be trapped in my house for 82 days like if I was in freaking northern Canada. I'm sick and tired. And I said sick and tired of these people lying to me every single day and scaring me into not going outside. Man, we all know, you all see me. I could probably afford to go for a walk right now. I need the workout. And I can't go outside because they got me feel like there's 4 feet of snow outside my door. And guess what? There never freaking is. I'm sick of it. That's my shoot shout for tonight. Kenny Alfonso closes out strong, baby.
Man, I felt that, but I'm glad that you passed the ball to me, because the thing that really gets under my skin and grinds my gears are podcast hosts that don't know what they're doing. Podcast hosts that have specifically one job, and that was to play the specific song that I asked them to play. Instead, wow, make this as a joke and make me look stupid.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Wait a minute now. This is not fair.
Got him.
Wow. Well, you know what, Kenny Alfonso?
Yep.
I said it to you before when you were working GWF. You guys are a great tag team, but you ain't got nothing on the Night Owl. Guess what, Kenny Alfonso, the Kenny Alfonso? You and your partner, Camaro Jensen, I love you so much, OOC. I wish I could kiss and love on y'all all the time. We got a little surprise for you because we got the song ready, boy. We're going to use that song to go to break. The Kenny Alfonso on social media. Alpha Omega smashing it for Kansas City 24/7 in 2019. Act like you know. Night Owl 231 and Jonesy coming back in 2 minutes and 30 seconds. You heard me? You know how we do, baby. Hit the music.
You know you don't like me, cuz. Your bitch look like this, cuz. know about that. You know about that. I know all about that. Looking for cold, you know what she said. Fresh out the gate, shit, what she said. What you know about that? What you know about that? What you know about that? I know all about that. Yeah, down the 6-4, another good fish bowl. Get down and pick your brain just to make it slow. I make it get low, because I get low. So what I'm rich, oh, I still full of shit, though. Talking shit for and gotta run and hit for. Got you a yelling, I thought you put out a gun and hit for. But you's a scary dude. I believe I very few. I just keep it very cool.
Hey, what's up, Wrestle Talk Podcast family? I know you guys are tuning in right now through the Facebook Live. Do me a favor, man. Share this broadcast. Tap the screen. We love seeing the thumbs up and the heart score across the screen. Some love, big time love to Camaro Jackson and Kenny Alfonso. Those guys are fabulous. I'm a huge fan, and we will definitely, Lord willing, have them back on the show very, very soon. I hope you guys enjoy the rest of the show.
Hey, wrestling fans, Ricky the Dragon Steamboat talking at you, and you're listening to the Wrestle Talk Podcast.
Absolutely, I am back. We are back. And you know, it's really funny. Renee was talking about somebody pulling out a cheeseburger out of their beard, and I've heard that if you have a beard and if you go to Taco Bell, you want to get two. You want to get 2 tacos and an empty taco shell, because after you're finished with the 2 tacos, you just shake your beard and you get another taco.
Bro, listen, that happens when you're not an experienced taco consumer. Bro, everybody knows that when you grab a taco, especially the kind they sell at Taco Bell, you have to turn your neck, okay? You got to turn your neck about 30 degrees to the left and bite it on the side like this. Ah. That way, none of the taco spills onto your beard or your belly. I'm just saying, don't act like you didn't learn something from watching the Wrestle Talk podcast. I'm just saying right now.
It sounds like you've had a lot of experience eating Taco Bell tacos.
Maybe a time or two. You know what I'm saying? I'm like Kenny Alfonso. There's some things I can't share for the protection of people, you know, that may be hurt if I share these. Well, listen, Jonesy, Kenny Alfonso, one half of Alpha Omega, absolutely wonderful interview. We had Sal Sanchez on the first hour from MEW, man. I wanted to take a moment before we bring on that folks from the FWWC to thank the wonderful people over at Kansas City Extreme Wrestling. This past Saturday had their debut show. The main event featured Hollis Giroux and Shannon Reed. It was outstanding. I had an opportunity to call the action all the way through. Thank you guys for tapping the screen. Really appreciate that. Make sure you share as well if you don't mind. Also had an opportunity to see and call the action during the Women's Championship match, which they also there crowned a new champion in Lady Pride, as they did in the Heavyweight Championship match, with Shannon Reed defeating Hollis Giroux. A bunch of great qualifying matches between Leo D and Aaron Clay and Richard Goldman and Jay Savage. I mean, and of course, you know, Leo D always doing what he does and entertaining everybody. It was just an outstanding show, and I'm really, really looking forward to doing it next month at Overdrive. So shout out to KCX. That said, it is time to get into what I would call the most out of control 15 to 20 minutes that we have here on the Wrestle Talk podcast, and that is when we open up our doors to the members of the world's premier fantasy wrestling promotion, the FWWC, the Fantasy Wrestling Worldwide Chapter. This Sunday at eSports, the Wrestle Talk podcast is hosting members of the FWWC along with members of the Wrestle Talk family in what is already, without a shadow of a doubt, the best watch party outside of actually being at the show itself. We are going to have PlayStation 4. We are going to have Xbox One. We're going to have customized drinks. I believe one of them is called the RKO. If you're into that sort of thing, that's where it's at. There's going to be food. There's going to be prizes. And if that was not enough, for $7, ladies and gentlemen, to get in the door, $10 for a limited gameplay, Gil Rogers, the uncrowned Kansas City champion, will be in the house with 8x10s and merch for sale. We're going to be doing Polaroids for $2 a piece. So if you are part of Gil's army, you need to make sure that you make your way down to Esports in Shawnee, Kansas, this Sunday starting at 4:00 p.m. for what is sure to be the best watch party in the Midwest. So looking forward to it. All that said, Jonesy, it is time to bring on the members of the FWC. And you know what? We actually have not one, but two general managers on the line ready to come on and talk to us about what their plans are for the Royal Rumble. But before I do that, before we bring them on, Jonesy, we have to, believe it or not, break some news courtesy of your FWWC Unified Heavyweight Tag Team Champions. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. I have had the opportunity this morning to spend some time with the infamous El Mata Ratas and the Money Man himself, Money Man Mills, and they have decided whom they will face at FWWC Royal Rumble for those championships. Let me read to you the statement. On behalf of the union, we have looked high, we have looked low, we have looked far and wide for the top tag teams in the FWWC, and quite frankly, it felt like we were looking into some sort of toddler daycare. But through our difficult and challenging research and homework, we have decided that we're not only going to give one team, but two teams an opportunity to dethrone us as the longest reigning FWWC undisputed heavyweight tag team champions of all time. That's right. The record was broken, I believe, about 10 days ago, which nobody really acknowledged, but it is what it is. What's going to happen is that one representative from the blue team, which is managed by El Luchador de Blue brand, and one representative from the red brand will have an opportunity to step in the ring with the greatest tag team in FWWC history, the Union. P.S. Remember, you dirty, stinking ratas, dues must be paid. P.S.S. We are better than you. Signed, Money Man Mills and El Mata Ratas. Wow, that's huge. So, as much crap as we talk about these guys, they seem to be willing to put themselves in harm's way with some sort of triple threat. And on that note, we're going to go ahead and kick the segment off with the red brand general manager, the one, the only, the current and brand new FWWC Universal Champion, Savior Saint.
What up, what up? That's right. I'm still lit, fresh off that victory, dog.
I just have one thing to say, and that is this. How about them Saints? How about them Rams?
Oh, my goodness. Jonesy, I know you're not in the group, okay? I know you're not in the group, but you can't egg these people on. They already come on here. They already spit fire. Trust me, you don't want to get on the wrong side of Savior Saint. Gotcha. Savior Saint, the floor is yours. You heard the news. What's on your mind, man? What do you think?
So I'm really excited. Like, I got to also speak with the union about this too, and it was pretty neat to see that the hard work of my fellow superstars on the red brand has paid off, and they are getting an opportunity. So red brand tag teams, listen up real carefully. So the match that was scheduled for Sunday, the Fatal 4-Way Tag Team #1 Contender match, will now be at TakeOver. And the winner at TakeOver will go on to main event along with the Union and the team from Blue in the FWWC Unified Tag Team Championship match.
Wow.
So get your asses in gear and get pumped up, because the Union of all people gave y'all an opportunity. So that means that they see something. And then motherfuckers, they usually have a blind eye to everything because they're the best. That's how they see it. So don't waste this opportunity, Red Brand, and rise up and get these titles for the brand. Let's go.
Wow. Well, Savior Saint, I would love to immediately jump over to the thoughts of the Blue Brand general manager, but that's not the only business that we need to address. There clearly already must be some sort of Red Brand card for FWWC Royal Rumble, and I'm sure that it's going to be signed by a lot of people. I'm sure it's going to be difficult to figure out who's going to headline for Red Brand, but there's two bits of business that I think we need to talk about really quick, and that's number one, who's going to be representing the Red Brand in the co-main event of the Warriors Heart Championship, and then number two, you recently became the FWWC Universal Champion just last night in an unprecedented matchup that was put together by yours truly because things needed to be shaken up. You had a champion that was making accusations against the board of directors that were completely unfounded and unjustified. And as you said in your promo, hey, you know what? What you said disrespected the efforts of our own brand, which he is supposed to be the top champion of. But now that burden no longer lays on the shoulders of the Battle Cat. They lay on your shoulders as the new top champion for the Red Brand. Does that not add a significant amount of pressure, especially considering that we're nearing the end of the brand battle, and there's a chance that this may end up being a tie-in? At this point, we have no idea how that's going to be settled. So there is much to be resolved in the world's premier fantasy wrestling promotion, and I got to get your thoughts on those things.
All right, I'll address the first one. The Warriors Heart competitors will be Bishop and Mayhem, and I chose them because of their activity, and this does not go against any other people that are active because my brand has been phenomenal and done really well and stayed active. But you have Marcus Mayhem, who runs the podcast, and that takes a lot of time and effort. And he also has matches and does other things here in the group. And then you have Bishop, who is, I have not seen anyone with the passion that come into the group since I came in. The way he is always in your face, and it's different things. It ain't the same picture. It ain't the same words. He has his catchphrase, but he gives you a story every time. And I need the best to represent. And of course, you have in my mind, aside from Otta, the greatest Warriors Heart champion ever, and that's a heel deal. And he's already in that match. So I think that this lineup, that it's going to stay on red. And like I just said, heel deal, I think he's the best, probably outside of Otta as a Warriors Heart champion. So I think that he has probably the best chance because he has the best experience. But I'm definitely looking forward to see the young Bishop and Mayhem because I know he's been lurking for this match for a long time.
Well, Saber Saint, we do.
Go to your second question.
Yeah, go ahead. Well, listen. Before you move on, and we do have to make this quick. That's only two names. The Red Brand has the opportunity to bring 3 people into the match. Are you keeping that a secret, or are you going to break some news here tonight?
Well, from my understanding, it was 3, including the champion. So therefore, I do have 3. If I was ignorant on that part, then that's my fault, and I will figure out another competitor, and then it might be a surprise. I'll use that to my favor.
Well, you're correct. So you have the heel.
Understanding was
you have the heel deal.
It would be heel deal, Bishop, and Mayhem. That's 3.
Okay, you're right. So my mistake there. So there would be 3 Red Brand representatives, 3 Blue Brand representatives. But then you also have the challenge that was issued to Moneyman Mills, who is currently on neither brand, and he accepted it. And I'm pretty sure that if the boss wants to be in the match, he can. So this could potentially be the biggest Warriors Heart Championship ever. Ever. Being part of history is what the FWWC is all about. go ahead and answer the other two questions for you. I just want to make sure I threw that out there so that everybody knew how big this is, and there will actually be a $75 grand prize for the winner of this matchup, which is a huge deal.
That is huge. That's awesome, and that's exciting for each of the competitors to be a part of it. But I'll tell you one thing, Tony Mills, I hope you're listening. It's going to take a lot more than stepping on a pair of sunglasses to defeat the Warriors Heart champion heel deal. So you better come prepared.
Whoa.
And you've been carried by Omata, and now you're going to come into your singles division and enter yourself into the top championship match. You got your work cut out for you. You can call it shade or whatever you want, but I got history with that guy, and I ain't really too fond of him.
Wow.
So back to the second thing. Night Owl, I've faced adversity my whole life, and that's where I shine the best. You can see it whenever I took over Red Brand, what I did with this group of guys and girls at the time, and now it is just men. But what I've done with this group, no one else on this roster could have done what I did. And what I'm going to do is lead them to a victory. And then I'm going to hold the Universal Championship high while I'm doing that, and I will be their leader and their champion. And then I'm going to go into the Royal Rumble, and I'm going to do what's best, and I'm going to represent the championship in the best way I can. And that's with my heart and everything I got left out in that ring and on the line. So no, I'm not nervous. No, I don't have any negative feelings about this. I'm going to conquer all and everything that's set in front of me. The Red Brand is going to be superior and prove that to everyone in the FWWC universe. You can believe that.
And there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Strong thoughts from the Red Brand general manager in the world's premier fantasy wrestling promotion. I'm very excited because we're just a few moments away from bringing on Mr. Excitement. Mr. Excitement himself, Chris Adams, will be joining us in just a matter of moments. But we do have a few callers and a general manager from the Blue Brand to get to. So, ladies and gentlemen, a man who has been at the center of much controversy, but at the same time, a man whose tactics have seemed to work because the Blue Brand is neck and neck with the Red Brand, and they currently lead 6 rounds to 5 rounds as we are getting closer and closer to concluding the heated FWWC brand battle. And I'm talking about none other than your brand new FWWC heavyweight champion, El Luchador, the Blue Brand.
Yes, that is correct, Night Owl. Actually, it is now 4-time, and let me repeat myself one more time, 4-time FWWC heavyweight champion. And can you honestly believe that 4 years ago when I first started here in the FWWC, that I never thought I would amount to this much success. I mean, this is just a shock and awe after what took place yesterday. And of course, I just want to say one thing. As you know, I'm a bit of a history buff.
Yes.
What took place 35 years ago today? Anybody remember? Anybody?
I got nothing. No idea.
Well, if you remember your history in wrestling, it was January 23rd, 1984, in front of a sold-out crowd in Madison Square Garden. WWE Hall of Famer, the immortal Hulk Hogan, defeated the former champion, the Iron Sheik, to claim his first of 6 WWF heavyweight championships.
Wow. So,
and I'm just like,
are you likening yourself?
Him.
Are you likening yourself to Hulk Hogan? Because I'll tell you what, there are a lot of people that are proclaiming that this is nothing more than just another corrupt act by you. Now, on behalf of the board of directors, to those who are asking these questions, I think I explained myself pretty well. This match is happening because we have superstars and champions, one, that are not fulfilling their requirements as champions. Cutting the same promo from your car 6 times a week does not scream, I am the top champion. Number 2, criticism directed at the authority, the members of the board of directors that make this group possible, only help lower our value because people wonder, hey, is this legitimate or not? And I can assure you, everything we do here in the FWWC is 100% legitimate. And then on the other side of the coin, you have Big T the Paisan on the blue brand who decided to align himself with the general manager of the blue brand in order to try to avoid having to defend his championship on a regular basis, avoid having to do promos on a regular basis, and avoid ever having to do more than just a one-on-one matchup when he defends his championship. So, Luchador, you have been under tremendous scrutiny, and now on top of everything else, you are the champion of the blue brand, which people have already felt like you're putting yourself in a position to succeed over and beyond all the other members of your roster. So what are your responses, if any, to the people who have speculated that you were just in this for yourself and that this is nothing more than an inside job?
Well, like I said last night during my press conference, to all those critics and haters, bless their hearts. I mean, I'm trying, like I said, when I first got this position as general manager, this is my first time ever doing this in my life, you know? And sure, people say I'm probably corrupt, I'm probably biased, I'm probably all for me, myself, and I, but I'm not, okay? Let me tell you something. Right now, I know everybody's been talking about this Blue Brand tag team tournament that's been going on recently. And you know, the hottest tag team now that's on their way to the finals. That is, let's see here, 2 people that really hated each other, and now for some reason they're starting to get along. That is Douglas James, and obviously the host of the FWWC Tonight, the one who hates my guts all of a sudden, Curtis Black. These 2 have somehow managed to survive every single round of the tournament, and now they're on their way to the finals. And that's a team I believe will take down the Union in this coming Sunday.
Well, you know what, Luchador, and I appreciate your feel. I don't necessarily believe that answers any of the questions that I asked, so I guess I'll just go ahead and ask you this. This Sunday, you could potentially be looking at an unresolved FWWC brand battle. What can we expect from you and the rest of Blue Brand to make sure that you keep your 1-point lead, your 1-round lead over the Red Brand to make sure that you guys capture the FWWC brand battle crown?
Well, all I know is this. Me and my Blue Brand brothers and sisters, we're going to put in some work. We're going to definitely go in there, put on a good show and a performance for everybody in the FWWC universe to see this Sunday night. Hell, as for me, I have not one, but now 2 matches. See, I was in this much heated grudge match with James Butkus. It's going to be inside Hell in a Cell, of course. And now I have to take on the Enchantress in a Falls Count Anywhere match for the championship that I just won a few days ago. So I know for a fact, me and the superstars I'm facing are going to put in some work, and the other superstars that are involved at the Royal Rumble this Sunday, they're going to put some work too. I'll make sure that this brand is a superior brand, and that I know the former general manager probably listening to this at home. I know he'll be very proud of what he left behind.
Well, you know what, Luchador, we appreciate your thoughts, and we're excited to see how things play out. We do, ladies and gentlemen, have Mr. Excitement, Christopher Adams, on the line ready to come on, but we do want to get through the rest of the FWWC callers. So we're going to go through these callers and give them each about 30 to 45 seconds apiece. Members of the FWWC, if you have ever cut a fire promo, this is the time to do it. Okay, and we're going to go ahead and lead off with a man that always has a fire promo. So go ahead and skip the, hey, Night Owl, hey, Jonesy, how you doing tonight? Let's go ahead and skip all that. Let's get straight to business. I want fire. I want passion. I want you guys to show why this is indeed the greatest fantasy wrestling promotion on the planet. And when I say go, you go. We're going to go ahead and bring on your current defending hardcore champion for the Red Brand, a man hailing out of West Virginia, a man that's never short on ammo, the one, the only, Tank Westbrook.
You want fire? You want something like that? Just remember how I won the FWWC Hardcore Championship. At Royal Rumble, I had to go against two other men. They think they're going to be able to take my title away from me. It's not going to happen, brothers. I'll see you all Sunday.
Boom, baby. That's exactly what we want to hear. And you know what? I got a caller that it's unidentified. It says surprise. Whoever this happens to be, I hope you bring the heat. Like I said, let's go ahead and skip the formalities. No more what's up, Night Owl. What's up, Jonesy? I want you to come in, and I want you to bring the heat right now. Phone number ending in 003. You're live on the Wrestle Talk podcast with Joe and Renee. What's on your mind tonight?
What's on my mind is your dumbass shenanigans talking about I didn't ever want to defend my title. I ran from competition. First off, Night Owl, if you don't get yourself together, son, you're going to be hearing from my lawyer and possibly Columbus Park will be owning this whole federation.
Wow. I see the Paisan was gone. Listen, you know what? I'm glad the guy is back, but careful you make threats to, homeboy, because my lawyer uses your lawyer to wipe his ass. Don't bring that crap at me. All right, we're going to go straight from Columbus Park down to the deepest and darkest part of the jungle. Like I said, just go ahead and skip all the formalities. We want you to come in and bring the heat right away. Ladies and gentlemen, hailing from Jacksonville, Florida, the former three-time FWWC Universal Champion, the one, the only, the Battle Cat.
If you really think I was calling to say what's up, you must be sadly mistaken. Because what you did to the Battle Cat is unforgettable. You want to screw over your top champion? Fine. But I will get it back by any means necessary.
Well, wait a minute now. I don't know what you mean by screwing over. Battle Cat, you were asked to defend your championship in a matchup against your general manager. Nobody stripped you of the championship. This wasn't a 3-on-1. You were asked to defend the belt just like any other champion is scheduled to defend the belt. And you know what? You failed. You failed, and that's not my fault. What's not my fault either are your false accusations, because I worked my ass off to make sure that everything here in the FWWC goes very, very well. And under my tenure, you become the 3-time Universal Champion. So if things were rigged, okay, maybe you would have never become the champion. Maybe you should think about that before you start talking trash. All right, we're going to go from there, and we're going to bring it all the way back to the great state of Kansas. That's right. Things are about to get a little dark here in the FWWC segment on the Wrestle Talk podcast. We're very, very short on time, but let's go ahead and bring on a man who has been very successful upon his return to the FWWC, a loyal member of La Familia and co-host of the FWWC Tonight podcast, Mayhem Dark.
All right, see, we're going to get straight to the point. This Sunday, this fatal four-way for this championship. Saint, he's going down. I'm cutting the light off. Battle Cat, he's going down. The jungle's getting burned down. Bishop, he's going down. He's going to be put in the coffin and read his last rites. for the Warriors Heart Championship, Mayhem will come out on top, and I will be a double champion, and that will happen.
Whoa, a man that we have not heard from in a long time. Ladies and gentlemen, Mayhem Dark. Last time we saw Mayhem Dark, he was taking and stealing the Enchantress's soul. I personally am concerned, and we may need to provide some extra security for the upcoming FWWC Royal Rumble this Sunday. We've got 2 callers left on the line, and we're definitely going to get through them. We're going to go ahead and make our way over to another semi-mysterious place because there's not a lot known about this guy other than he's always ready for a fight, a man that is always ready to compete, and he's well known across the independent and fantasy wrestling circuit. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show, the one, the only Douglas James.
What do you mean you don't know a lot about me? I've been around here for 2 years. I know I've been through a lot of changes, been through, some different things in my life in those 2 years, but I'm still the same old Douglas James I've always been. And Saint and Luchador, they come on here claiming to give people opportunities for championships. They want to give more opportunities. They want to be a place where people can grow and come and be a part of them to become champions themselves and boast that and throw it in our faces. That's hypocritical to me, but let's not talk about that. Let's talk about this Sunday night. I will be at Esports Bar in Shawnee, Kansas, and I will have a match against Outta and Money Man Mills, on whichever team Red Brand puts in front of us. Myself and Curtis, we started this whole thing not getting along, but now he has my respect, and I have his respect. And so we are going to do what we can to bring those heavyweight tag team championships to the Blue Brand, and I can almost guarantee that that's going to happen. I'm out.
All right, Douglas James bringing the heat as we are nearing the FWWC Royal Rumble pay-per-view at eSports. We do have one last caller that we're going to try to get to, and that's a guy that joined us on the show a little bit earlier to talk WWE. Now he's back to deliver his message to the FWWC universe. Ladies and gentlemen, Brother Bishop.
Okay, I'm going to keep this short and sweet. This coming Sunday night, Bishop goes into the Royal Rumble. 2 title matches. I lead out with the Warriors Heart Championship, the Universal title. Battle Cat is going to get skinned. Mayhem is going to get frozen. And Saint, I like it, but that belt's coming with me. And last but not least, the Prophets of Madness are walking out, #1 contenders for the tag titles. And the only thing that we see in our opponent's future is pain.
Boom, Brother Bishop not delivering the knockout blow. If he can do that this Saturday, he will be a part of the FWWC Unified Heavyweight Tag Team Championship match on Sunday. I am very, very excited to see how this plays out. I know there's quite a few of you guys still on hold. Once we get through the interview with Mr. Excitement, Chris Adams, we will try to make some time for you guys. The amount of callers this evening has absolutely been overwhelming. We are very, very grateful. And like my man Jay Hollywood said, we're almost through the whole show, and Facebook Live has not cut out on us. So let's go ahead and keep the momentum going, ladies and gentlemen. I know we've got some music queued up because it is now time for our second featured guest of the evening. That's right. I'm talking about a guy who has trained with some of the best. I'm talking about Tony Dabbs, Kamala Jr., and a guy who has been in the wrestling business now for the better part of 8 years. He's worked predominantly as a singles wrestler, and he's been all over the place. You're talking about Future of Wrestling, Intense Pro Wrestling, Mid-South Championship, and Dynamo Pro Wrestling. This man has had memorable feuds with guys like Billy Madding, Derek King, and many, many others. And now for the very first time, we're going to get a chance to interview him here on the Wrestle Talk podcast with Joe and Renee. So intern Timmy, go ahead and cue up that music as we bring on our special guest, Mr. Incredible, Mr. Excitement, Mr. You better be glad you pay your $20 for the front row seat, Chris Adams.
welcome to the show.
Hey, guys, how we doing?
We're doing good. Thanks for taking some time out of your busy schedule to come on to the podcast tonight.
Most definitely. Thank you guys for having me. I appreciate it.
Renee, if you don't mind, I think I'll go ahead and start off the interview, and then I'll let you come in with whatever questions that you have, if that's all right with you, sir.
Dude, absolutely. I'm gonna need a few minutes. I'm gonna need a few minutes to recover from these people from the fantasy group, bro. They got my head spinning. Those people are crazy, bro.
Just listening to you guys, y'all got to pack up and head over to Kansas right now.
Let's go, baby. Let's go.
All right, so my first question is, and I ask you this to just about everybody, and usually everybody has pretty much the same answer, but what got the Mr. Excellent Chris Adams interested in professional wrestling?
I mean, so for me, it's a mix of things. Like, it all actually started when I was a kid. I used to always watch it with my grandfather, and then my dad and my stepdad, too. They always had it on every Monday night, and it was a fight between WCW and WWE. Well, F at that time, now. But I think what really drove the point home for me to want to do it, because I always kind of dabbled with the thought, but one of my brothers, he's no longer with us now, but when we were kids, we used to always wrestle, and I could never, I was the oldest of the two of us, but I could never pick him up. But many times, like several times, he could always pick me up, and particularly we would do tombstone challenges to try to see who could actually drop who on the head first, and I always lost that. But it was after I graduated high school when I actually got the idea that I was gonna seriously pursue it, and he was a large part of my inspiration for that, because I actually love the memories I had with him on that, on top of everything else, you know.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. I mean, you've been in the professional wrestling business for quite some time. You know, you were trained by Tony Gant and Kamala Jr. What was it like to be trained by those two gentlemen?
So when it started with Tony, I just got lucky to be honored and privileged enough to have been able to meet him and just be introduced to him to get him under me. Tony was the kind of, or he is the kind of person, he's not going to ask anybody to do anything he wouldn't do. So, I mean, that was humbling, and it was also inspiring to an extent, to the point of we do a lot in this industry. We put our bodies on the line every time we go out there, and just to have somebody who's going to be as honest and down to earth with you without saying, hey, you go do that double, triple backflip shooting star press off the top rope, and I'm going to stand here and laugh at you. You know, with him, it was more or less an introductory to just what I was actually getting myself into. And then once I got to meet Kamala Jr., which is the story behind that was actually kind of funny. And he took me under his wing, and we went from there. It was humbling, because it was at that point when I really started to learn more about the wrestling industry, the deeper parts that not a lot of people think about, like the in-ring psychology and what it actually takes to put together a good match and a good promo and actually make it mean something without having to go out there and kill yourself every time. You know, to be able to go out there and just work a match with nothing but a headlock, you kidding me? Wouldn't think it'd be entertaining, but you could actually do it if you were smart. And that was a lot of what I learned of him. He was more humbling than anything, and a huge eye-opener for me.
Well, absolutely. Absolutely. You know, you always remember who you were trained by. I was trained by a guy by the name of Robbie Page as a referee, and, you know, I still talk to him to this day. Yeah, so I guess for my last question before I throw it over to Renee, because I don't want to take up all of the time, is how did you come up with the nickname Mr. Excellent?
So I actually didn't. I can't take credit for that. The name Mr. Excitement was actually presented to me by Luke Roberts. when he told me about the podcast, because I had actually just recently taken on calling myself the amazing Christopher Adams, just trying to break away from my name as is, being tied to the gentleman oftentimes can be troubling.
Right.
I didn't train Stone Cold. I had no clue in it.
Facts.
As noted on the promo pic, I'm black. I'm nowhere near British. So it just doesn't work out, So it was actually when he ran down the list of what you guys were going to say as my introduction that he came up with the idea of Mr. Excitement. And I was like, that actually fits me to a T. I could run with that. So I'm probably going to keep it.
Absolutely. Yeah, that is definitely an awesome nickname. And yes, I did totally mistake and said Mr. Excellent, but it's Mr. Excitement. It's Mr. Excitement, not Mr. Excellent. Yeah.
Mr. Excellent isn't far off. It's ego count. Like,
Exactly. Excellent, excitement, they go hand in hand. Really, why don't you go ahead and jump in here with whatever questions that you have?
No doubt about it. And those were some great questions, Jonesy. You actually took my thunder a little bit, but you know what? I got a few in the reserve that I think I can bust out. So, Chris, let me start off by asking you this, bro. Not everybody's cut out for this business. The schedule is very demanding. The physical demands are quite challenging. And usually the recompense, it's hard to justify what guys on the independent circuit make considering the amount of work you guys put in. So I'm always curious to know, where did this passion come from? I know you said that when you were growing up, your family used to watch Raw and SmackDown, but that's one thing, because I think that's most of the members of the Wrestle Talk family. But there's usually something that happens, some event, some show, somebody in your life that makes you go from being just the guy who loves Raw and SmackDown or Nitro or whatever it may be to actually saying, you know what, I'm going to go pursue this because I have a love for it that goes beyond fanhood. So what was the caveat that led you to actually taking that first step to try to get into the world of professional wrestling?
I mean, so for me, truthfully, I didn't find my reasoning for wanting to continue to pursue wrestling until after I was in it. Leading up to it, it was just like you said, what a lot of people say, the fandom, the idea of fame and what you think wrestlers would be made of, which us guys in it, we know it's a hard life. Can't knock that at all. But once I got into it is actually when I figured out what keeps me going for it. I love the fact that for that 10 to 15 minutes that we're out there putting on a show for however many people buy tickets and we put them in the front row or wherever they choose, that 10 to 15 minutes, that is all me. Like, that is 110% me. At that point, the only other person who's got to say so in what goes on in my life is whoever I'm working with. And usually we get that stuff straightened out. You could almost compare it to Vin Diesel in the Fast and the Furious, how he talks about living his life a quarter mile at a time. This is exactly that. Because for that 10 to 15 minutes, I get to tell a story, I get to put my life together, and I get to let these people see what that's like in my head and try to make it entertaining for them, which is usually pretty fun.
Well, that's really...
Adrenaline rush also plays a part.
That's tremendous, man. And you know what? When you say adrenaline rush, I remember listening to one of my childhood idols, Stone Cold Steve Austin, talk about how if you could take that excitement, right, pun intended, if you could take that excitement and bottle it up and sell it, you'd be a very, very rich man. And so I'm curious, man, what is that feeling? What is that adrenaline rush? Because usually adrenaline rushes last 30 seconds, a minute, depending on the situation. You're talking about a 15-minute adrenaline rush. How do you keep yourself from blowing up and running out of gas when you're trying to perform in front of so many people and you're working with someone that maybe you're familiar with, maybe you're not familiar with? How do you and I guess I'm trying to find the right words to phrase this question. how do you find the pacing to be able to keep that level of excitement from absolutely just blowing up and leaving you in a position where you can no longer go? Because I can imagine the rush of coming down, hearing your music hit. You know, a lot of guys spend a ton of energy when they're doing their introduction and their intro, but then you still got a 15-minute match to go. So I'm curious, what tactics do you employ to make sure that you are indeed ready to go for the extended period of time that you have to be in the ring?
Massive amounts of cardio. No. While that is legitimately an answer for me, because I'm one of those guys who will expend 80% of his energy coming to the ring before the bells even rang. A lot of it is because at that point, mentally, I zone out into where, for me, wrestling becomes real. And I think that's actually what kind of helps keep the fans pulled in too. And when I say real, I mean like this is an actual fight to the death, like Gladiator Coliseum kind of thing. To where if I get blown up, if I don't keep going, this guy's gonna kill me. And depending on who you're working with, that may or may not be an actual reality. I mean, for me, I guess just when it gets to that point, the idea of where you want to end on top of that mountain is what keeps me going and keeps me from succumbing to being out of breath. Because I know if I let this guy down, I just let me down. I just tank the whole crowd, and everybody's going to hate me for it. So that's going to weigh on your chest, too. Oh, sitting thinking about it, actually, it does.
Yeah, I can definitely see that, and I can tell you put an immense amount of pressure on yourself to live up to your moniker, Mr. Excitement, and truly, you know, it's not rare, but it's exciting to see somebody who has that sort of passion for the business the way that you do, especially after being in it and around it for an extended period of time. I'm curious, man, in your tenure in the pro wrestling business, you've probably had upwards of 100 matches, maybe even more. I'm curious, are there any that specifically kind of come to mind as some of your favorite or the most intense or maybe the funniest that you've had up to this point in your career that you might be able to share with our listeners tonight?
Yeah, I've had a couple. The biggest two, just right off the top of my head that come to mind, were one of my matches that I did against Luke Gallows of the Bushwhackers over in Tennessee, and then another one that I'd done with Ricky Morton from the Rock and Roll Express.
Wow,
down in
dude.
Osceola, Arkansas. The matches I had with those two, as far as I'm concerned, phenomenally awesome legends, and they were really great in the back too, like just really full of knowledge and good to talk to, and they wouldn't let you get lost in the ring. If there was ever a perfect example of ring generals that I've worked with, those are two.
Wow.
Of the many, two. But in those matches, I learned the actual art of work. I learned that you don't have to literally go out there and kill whoever you're working with to put on a good match and have the fans equally involved into whatever you're doing as you are invested into it. Those two matches alone, one of them I believe was actually televised for a short period, but those two matches really stand out to me as far as just great all-around matches where I got out there, we put on a good show, we had the crowd into it, start to finish, and then they, like, even at the end, which I lost both of those matches, but even at the end, they were still up on their feet. I was equally as pleased just as he was, and it was a great thing. Now, flip that over to matches with memorable moments that I can think of that I had. At the Wild Federation we did, there was a show on the Tennessee-Kentucky state line. And in this particular match, there were a couple things going on. If I were to lose, I had to eat or actually, so I was supposed to eat their version of some form of pig slop. It was up against Billy Maddox. He was actually one of the rivals. The rivalry that they were mentioned in the introduction.
Oh, that's gross.
And at the time, oh my God, dude, you have no idea. So in this, they had corn, cheese, some kind of cheese. I think as thick as it was, there was some dressing mixed in there too. And what I didn't know was that they had mixed some kind of Tabasco sauce into it. Like it was hot as
Dang.
ridiculously hot.
That's gross, bro.
We have our match. Yeah, it was pathetic. But what's worse, so we have our match, and I thought I was going to win, didn't. And at the end, I was supposed to just take a spoon and eat some of it. Well, the entire pot, and they had it in like one of those gallon ice cream buckets. Somewhere in there, they got the idea that it'd be funny and cool to put the entire gallon of Tabasco-filled slop on my head, which every piece of that got into my eyes, and I was miserable for about a week straight up.
Well, that sounds like a good time.
I mean, entertaining for the fans. They can have that. I probably will never do that again if I have a choice in it. Man.
Well, we appreciate you sharing that with us. And I'll tell you what, not many people would. So thank you, because that sounds absolutely disgusting. And that just continues to show how much you love what you do in professional wrestling. I do have one other question, but before I ask that question, I'm going to go ahead and throw it back to my partner, Jonesy over there. Jonesy, did you have any other questions for Chris Adams tonight?
Yeah, just you said that you wrestled one of the Bushwhackers. What was it like doing that?
So it was breathtaking. Like to have been in the industry as long as I had at that time, and then to have been given the opportunity to be in the ring with somebody that I personally only ever thought I would wanting to dream of being in. And the same thing goes for Ricky Morton, Jerry Lawler. Like, to be in the ring and actually be in that atmosphere with somebody who was wrestling before I was born, and I just got to see some of their stuff, it was breathtaking. It was surreal just to be in that environment alone and have him staring at me across the ring. Like, half that match I spent, one, trying not to laugh because of how he works in the ring, but two, just really taking in how blessed I was to have been granted such a massive opportunity, you know? And even to this day, it's hard to believe that I can sit here and say that I was able to do that. And I hope to one day soon, very soon, get that opportunity again, be it against him or hopefully some other legend, you know, to continue to excel. That would be the best thing ever if that were to happen. I should say when that's going to happen. That it will happen.
Awesome.
Right? Absolutely. I remember the Bushwhackers. They would come down to the ring licking fans' heads, and he didn't lick you, did he?
No. No, that didn't happen. I was able to dodge that one.
That's awesome. And I'll tell you what, let me jump in here, Jonesy. There's only one thing worse that I can imagine than being licked by a bushwhacker, and that is losing to a total noob such as myself in tonight's edition of the Wrestle Talk Podcast Game Show Challenge. Chris, I hear you're uber competitive, and I want to go ahead and challenge you. I, the Night Owl, want to challenge you to a little bit of trivia tonight in tonight's edition of the Wrestle Talk Podcast Game Show Challenge. My question is, sir, are you game?
I mean, if you're ready to give up your show that easily, then okay, I'll take it from you. If that's what you want to do.
You know what? This guy is faster, stronger, and more handsome than me, but I've been an underdog my whole life. Let's do it, baby. Hit the music, intern Timmy. Let's get into tonight's edition of the Wrestle Talk Podcast Game Show Challenge.
Hey,
All
before we
right,
get
ladies
started,
and
Wait.
gentlemen.
Joe, wait a minute. Chris Adams has something to say. Go ahead. What were you going to say?
before we get this started, the music that you guys have planned for that, I hope you guys have thought about it, maybe heard it before, but that's the perfect music to do the floss to. And I did it.
What, the $1,000 pyramid song? Let me.
Yeah, it happened. And right here.
I'm gonna try that in the mirror as soon as the show's over. And go ahead, Jonesy, drop it on us, baby.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this week's installment of the world famous Wrestle Talk Podcast Game Show Challenge. Tonight's contest is scheduled for the best 2 out of 3 falls. Our contestants tonight are the Night Owl Renee Martinez and Mr. Excellent Christopher Adams.
It's excitement. It's Mr. Excitement. Jeez Louise, you're killing me, Smalls.
Excitement, I did it again, didn't I? Oh, my goodness. Mr. Excitement.
Just do a break on that.
You're fired. Go ahead, drop it. We're ready, baby.
In a few moments, I will be asking you 3 questions about a particular professional wrestling topic. Whenever you think you know the answer to the question, just shout out your answer, and the first person to win 2 falls will win tonight's Wrestle Talk Podcast Game Show Challenge. If you think that you know the answer, just shout out your answer. The first person to win 2 falls will win tonight's Game Show Challenge. The first, in honor of this Sunday's Royal Rumble, Wrestle Talk Podcast Game Show Challenge category for this evening is titled Royal Rumble Iron Man. In a moment, I will give you clues about 3 professional wrestlers who were the Iron Man in a particular Royal Rumble match. When you think you know the answer, just shout out your answer. The first person to win tonight, win 2 falls, will win tonight's contest. Woo. All right, question number 1. Are you gentlemen ready?
Let's go.
Let's go, baby.
All right.
I'm ready.
Question number 1. This 2008 WWE Hall of Famer was the Iron Man of the 1992 Royal Rumble, wrestling for 59 minutes and 26 seconds to win his first WWE World Championship.
Ric Flair.
Most people know this man as Ric Flair would be correct.
Boom, baby!
Renee Martinez.
No. You didn't even get the question out. No, redo.
What do you mean redo? He said as soon as you know the answer, shout it out. I knew the answer. Come on, Mr. Excitement. You were slow to the punch.
I had the answer. I said it first. You just didn't hear me. You guys muted my mic.
Now you're starting to sound like the snitch. That's who you're starting to sound like now. All right, question number 2, baby. Let's do this.
Question number 2. In 2017, this professional wrestler entered the Royal Rumble at number 2. He lasted 1 hour and 13 seconds before being eliminated. Most recently, he has been in New Japan as a former IWGP Intercontinental Champion.
Chris Jericho.
What did you say, Mr. Excellent? Because I know you answered first. You said Chris Jericho. That is correct. We have a tie. The Night Owl has won. Mr. Excitement has won. All right, question number 3. This is for all other marbles, ladies and gentlemen. In 2006, this current WWE wrestler set the record for the longest time in a Royal Rumble match.
Rey Mysterio.
Match after
Kane.
Rey Mysterio would be correct. Mr. Excitement, you are tonight's winner of the Wrestle Talk Podcast Game Show Challenge. So here is your music. DJ Khaled. All I do is win, 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 no matter what. Got money on my mind, I can never get enough. And every time I step up in the building, everybody hands go up. And they stay there, and they so congratulations on doing that, and of course, Renee.
Wait.
Always had music for you.
Wait, I'm not. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Wait a minute now. This contest was culturally biased against Latinos. Okay. Number two, somebody muted my microphone. Number three. Number three, there was lint, coming from the light in the studio that hit me in my eye. So what had happened was I was ready, but like something, okay, you know what? Fine. Really? Come on, man.
Yeah, but the more this guy talks, Kevin Hart, I'm not even
Why y'all gotta hit me with the auto-tune, baby, man? Come on, man. Well, you know what? I'm gonna stop being salty for 1 second because truly, Mr. Excitement, Chris Adams, you are one of the guys within the business that exemplifies what it is to be a true professional. You were here, you were on time, even though we were late. Joe kept messing up your name. We couldn't get anything right, and you still managed to have an absolutely wonderful appearance here on the show. And we truly do hope that this is not the last time that you join us here on the Wrestle Talk podcast, because you are indeed officially the newest member of the Wrestle Talk family. Please promise us that you will join us once again before 2019 is up.
Yes, sir. I definitely will. And like I said, hopefully here in the very near future, I'd love to actually make a physical appearance over there with you guys.
Hey, there's plenty of room in the studio. And you know what, bro? I want a rematch. I want a recount and a rematch. I think next time, maybe if the lit isn't flying around, I'm going to go ahead and pull out the victory. Before we let you go, Chris, tell us where people can see you in action next and how they can follow you on social media.
At the very next time, you guys, I will be live coming to you in St. Louis, Missouri, this coming weekend at the Concordia Hall Stadium, 8 o'clock. Tickets are $10 in advance, $15 at the door. Come get your socks rocked off, man. It's going to be an absolutely phenomenal show. And then follow me on my fan page, Christopher Adams on Facebook, and then my Instagram handle is the show, ChrisLA13. Twitter, ChrisL_Adams09. Come at me, guys.
And you know what? You know what, Chris? We got fans already offering up some new nicknames and people loving Mr. Excitement. Other people suggested Mr. Animosity, Chris Adams. I don't know. All I know is that whenever you step in the ring, sir, you are indeed highly exciting and entertaining. I cannot wait to talk to you again. All the best to you, the folks over at Dynamo Pro, and anywhere else you end up working, man. You take it easy, all right? We'll talk to you down the road.
Thank you guys for having me. I really appreciate it. I'll talk to you later.
Peace.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Peace. Wow, what a show.
What a show.
A show.
Indeed. Jonesy, what are your final thoughts before I close this out for tonight, man? Jonesy, what are your final thoughts? Come on, man.
And Mr. Excitement and everybody from the FWWC coming on, and I don't know what else to say. I mean, it was an amazing show, as always. It's always an amazing show. Every single week. Like, I'm excited to see what we got next week. You never know what's going to happen next week. You never... Oh, here we go.
What is going on?
See, it is I, the enlightened one, Alexander Jones. I didn't get the opportunity to come on to the Wrestle Talk podcast tonight during the FWWC segment that I am here now. This Sunday I get to go up against one Daniel Grimm, and he could have picked any match he could have wanted on Sunday. Any match he could have wanted. He could have made it a casket match. He could have made it a ladder match, but he decided to make it a very boring I Quit match. But that's okay, because I, Alexander Jones, will dig deep into my soul and take those two words that I refuse to say, and I will bury them deep inside so that those words will never come out of my mouth, because I would rather do permanent body damage to myself than say those two words that will never come out of my mouth. Plain and simple. Thank you. You know, we got to get this Alexander Jones away from the Wrestle Talk podcasting. Every week he comes on. Every week. Stupid, 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 stupid.
That is not how I wanted to close out tonight's show. But you know what? We had an incredible episode tonight, 231. We're super over on time, but let me remind everybody that this Sunday at Esports Bar KC, the best by far pro wrestling watch party is taking place. And guess what? We're hosting some of the best professional wrestlers in the Midwest. We're going to be giving away t-shirts. We're going to be giving away vinyl WWE figures. We're going to have discounted prices on gaming, discounted prices on food. It's only $7 to get in. Your kids can also join the party for $5. Be there or be square. I want to go ahead and close us out with Kenny Alfonso's or even Chris Adams' theme on tonight's episode, because truly tonight's episode has been nothing short of excitement. Ladies and gentlemen, we love you. We thank you for the support. Be sure to continue to follow us 24/7 at WrestleTalkPodcast.com. I will see you guys this Sunday at Esports Bar KC for the Wrestle Talk Podcast Watch Party featuring the uncrowned Kansas City champion, Gil Rogers. Woo! We'll see you guys there. Have a good night, and we'll catch you next week. Peace. You're amazing. You're amazing. You're amazing. You're amazing. Wrestle Talk family, you're amazing. Please, please, please take a moment and share this broadcast. This will be posted on YouTube very, very soon. Just type in Wrestle Talk Podcast, 3 words, and you will find us. We are here to serve you and you only. All praises to my Heavenly Father, Jesus Christ, and his Father Jehovah. We do this because he allows us. Super grateful to my family and my friends. This would not be possible without any of you. Catch you guys next week, 7 p.m. Central, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, every Wednesday. We out. And it's still Chiefs Kingdom all day. You already know.
Thank you for using Blog Talk Radio. Goodbye.
Yummy.